First of all, I'd like to thank you all for all your hard work. My family and I are banking on all of you that we'll have a cure soon or some new things around the corner. So with that, with talking about stage 4 metastatic disease, I just wanted to find out if there's anything on the horizon or coming up to help those of us that it has metastasized and are trying to have a quality of life living with cancer.
Well, Lisa, you spoke about that. Perhaps you'd like to say a bit more?
Yeah, so the short answer is yes. There are a lot of new drugs being developed, and as was alluded to, even in our most recent meetings, there were new combinations of drugs that seem to be better than the individual drugs themselves. The longer answer is we're not going to get there fast enough if we continue to sort of try on new things one at a time in the fashion that we have been doing it. The good news is that the technology required for people to, scientists to get really, really detailed information about individual cancers is becoming so much cheaper and easier to do that, in fact, we're right at the beginning of a sort of, I think a new paradigm, a new change in how we approach things, where the genetic abnormalities of individual tumors are going to be so much better understood and known that we actually, there is a, it's a high-risk venture, but the direction of our field right now is going more towards individualized therapy. We're not, it's not for tomorrow, but we're getting very close. And some of these stories, right? Steve Jobs, right? Everybody heard Steve Jobs had his tumor sequenced, what, 6, 7 years ago, back when he was first diagnosed. Do you know what it cost? $100,000, right? One tumor, $100,000 to get all of the basically a mutational profile of his cancer, with the idea being that then maybe they'd find a drug that would be very effective in his tumor. It didn't work out.
Actually, no.
What?
They found some mutations that were not expected, and they actually treated him.
They did treat him. That's right.
And he did have responses.
No, that's true. So if the idea is curing somebody, yes. So, and he lived, I think longer. Many of us would have expected with pancreatic cancer. That's one that in fact doesn't do so well. But the reality is, if you're, if nowadays the same test costs a tenth of that, right?
Less than that.
Yeah, it's now about $6,000 to do what happened to him, right? 6,000 sound about right?
No,
lower.
less. Yep.
It's $3,000 if you
3,000.
send it out. $6,000 if you
Tomorrow,
buy
and
the reagents
they're bidding it out.
average.
Right. So this is transformative. I mean, think about it, right? I mean, you can't do $100,000 sequencing experiments if that's what it costs, because you'd be doing one person at a time, and then you'd be done with whatever money you had from whatever foundation. But if you can do it for just a few $1,000s, and if it keeps going down, then personalized medicine and trying to identify real genetic abnormalities on an individual basis is a real possibility. We also need the drugs. So that's the other challenge, is getting the drugs developed that can target this. So I think we're in the beginning of a new world. It's a lot of promise and not yet realized, but I think that's the direction we're going in. Mark, did you want to?
No, I was just going to say that despite the potential risks of alcohol, we're getting dangerously close to cocktail time. And so I'm going to take one more question from that lady in the salmon.